Hello, Audioholics. This is Logan, and today we are going to be covering an album on Audioholics Unite, an album by a band that, if my research holds true, does music.
Yeah,
This
isn't
is
that weird? Covering an album on Audioholics Unite. We've never done that before.
we've never done that before. Usually we just
This is a first.
Usually we just review pine cones, but
Yeah.
now we're doing. Usually this is called Pine Audioholics.
Okay, this has gone too far.
All right. Opeth.
No, we're doing Opeth today. We're doing Still Life by Opeth.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I guess
This was his idea.
Before we start, I'll give a little backstory. I'm going to assume you guys haven't listened to my getting into prog video I did on Opeth, but if you haven't seen that after this video, or even now, go check it out. I worked really hard on it.
Keep this brief because you'll have plenty of time to gush over the album while it's going. But
yeah, but I want to get into my history with the band a little bit. So personally, Opeth was really, really hard for me to get into. I started with Blackwater Park because people jerk off that album. They say it's the best progressive metal album ever made. And now that I appreciate it, I can see where they're coming from on that statement. But at the time, I hated it. I listened to Blackwater Park 3-4 times and I just despised that album. Once I give Still Life a chance, I started to kind of appreciate this band. And on my second listen, I really it clicked for me. This is a band that I find really, really hard to get into. And I feel like even if this was your first album with the band, it might not work out for you on your first listen. That's something I said in my getting into prog video, is that even if you start with Still Life, it still might take you 3-4 listens of an Opeth album to really get into them. And that is something that you could potentially knock points for. But I'll talk about this more when we get into the album. I really don't think that it deserves that's not its fault. The fact that the music is hard to get into is not a fault of the album.
Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of share how I feel about this album right off the bat. So I've never listened to it. I think I might have listened to a song from it. I believe he sent it to me.
It's the first song on the album.
Yeah. Someone's just randomly yelling outside my dorm. What the hell?
No idea.
And they were earlier yelling at me for whatever, dude. Anyway, no, he loves this band and he loves this album. In fact, if you haven't already, I recommend you watch our new series, Bracketeering, or Bracketeers rather, where we do bracket fight tier, whatever the hell it's called, bracket
fights,
fighting.
Yeah.
And I guess spoiler alert, he decided that this album was the best album of the 40 that he chose. And I picked Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, which is an album that he really likes, but doesn't entirely, I guess, like it as much as I don't know. Anyway, though, that being said, I'm not typically into things with more harsh vocals. That being said, that's starting to change because, as with our Rolling Drone series, I'm starting to get into albums like From Mars to Sirius, like Gojira. That's an album that even a month ago I would have just completely written off. And now I absolutely love it. It is a 10 out of 10 album for me. So I am, I guess you could say, optimistically pessimistic about this album. So you want to just get into it?
Yeah, so go through the spiel real quick. The play in the description will be a playlist link to this album. We recommend
There
listening
won't.
on Spotify, but if you insist listening on YouTube, use ad block. All
Ad
right, let's
block.
get into it.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and go with the more. The first song on the album. This album is a
So
little
this is
bit
a
on the longer
concept
side.
record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about an hour long. It's not
Well,
too
yeah,
long.
it's short for a prog album, but yeah, definitely not the longest
It's
thing
shorter
we've
than the Mr.
covered.
Bungle album, actually.
Yeah, exactly. If you haven't seen that yet, check out our Mr. Bungle album, our Mr. Bungle video where I got him into Mr. Bungle. It's one of our just most batshit videos we've done, which is
It
fitting
was
because
fun.
it's one of the most batshit albums I think I've ever heard.
So this is a concept record, and throughout
I do
the
remember
album,
this. I
I'll
remember
be
this.
like
I
telling the
remember this
story a
riff.
little bit. This is like a very jazzy,
Yeah.
it's like a dark
Yeah.
jazz type thing that they have going
Yeah.
on. That's something about this album I'm going to talk a lot about. Insane fucking variety. Insane variety. In this song alone, they go through like 15 genres. You want to
Yeah.
talk Mr. Bungle having a shit ton of variety.
Yeah.
Yeah, this album has it in spades. And like another thing I love about it is like the themes of the story are included in the music, which is really awesome. It really paints a picture with the music on this album. So like right now, listening to this, what do you picture?
I'm sorry. I'm silent for a little bit. I'm just like actually trying to come up with a. I don't know, like being alone in a room, a dark room,
Yeah. This is
in like
something
the ancient,
Opeth
in like
does
the
very
ancient times,
well.
like being
Yeah.
alone in a castle.
Now we come in with this like really nice acoustic
Like
line.
kind of like Renaissance sounding.
I love the acoustic sounds in Opeth
Yeah.
albums. It's so clear and crisp, and
Yeah.
oh, it just sounds so good.
Definitely,
But
if this was an instrumental album, I could already just say 10 out of 10 right off the bat. Are the vocals gonna ruin it? I don't know, but I'm going to be as open-minded as I possibly can be.
so my point in asking you to picture like something based on
Yeah.
the music is now the electric guitar comes in.
Yeah.
This album has such a thick, dark, heavy atmosphere to it.
Yeah, I
Atmosphere is
know.
something this band does so well.
I really like the production of this. I love the omnipresent just bass, like thunderous bass throughout. Like I would say this is one of those bands where the bassist really shines.
Yeah, and if you pay attention, you can still hear the acoustic guitar in the mix.
Yeah, I can hear it.
It's
Just
really
the
cool
mix
how
is
Opeth
really
does
good. The
that.
production is really good. I love this riff. So far, I'm totally on board.
Yeah, I love the intro to this song. The intro to this song is just
I can hear like,
mwah.
oh, I thought I could like
All right,
almost
here
hear
we
like a
go.
violin in the background now.
I fucking love that intro. It just builds up to it. You know, it starts with that dark jazz thing, and then it includes the acoustic, and then it includes the electric, and then finally it slams you and gets heavy.
Should I be looking up the lyrics to this?
Reading along with the lyrics is a good idea, but since we're live, I don't know, like that's caused problems in the past.
That's true.
So I'll just kind of like I'll look up the lyrics myself and kind of
Yeah,
tell
look
you
it
what's
up on
going
your
on.
phone and like give me the highlights. So you said this is a concept album. What's this song about?
Okay, so this song is the sort of the intro track. It introduces you to the protagonist, who is unnamed. We don't know what his name is, but he is an atheist who is brutally beaten and banished from his village. This takes place in like the Middle Ages, I think. It's never really
Okay.
stated, but you
It
know,
seems it has a very
yeah.
middle age type feel to it. Like especially with the acoustic, like I said, very Renaissance sounding.
Yeah, and also like the presence of the church in this
Yeah.
story makes me think Middle Ages too. But yeah,
Like
they
probably
even
like
say
middle,
like
I would even say like this feels very what's his name who did Hunchback of Notre Dame? Why am I blanking on the name of that? Victor
I don't know.
Hugo? No.
Also clean
Is it?
vocals. I
Yeah.
love his clean
I
vocals
think
in
it
this
is Victor
album.
Hugo did Hunchback of Notre Dame.
But yeah, this
Actually,
song right now, it's just kind of talking about like
yeah.
how he was banished. In verse 4, outcast with dogmas forged below, seared and beaten, banished from where I was born. No mercy would help me on my
Yeah.
way. In the pouring rain, nothing is the same. In this part, it's saying like pale touch writhing in the embers, damp mud burning in my eyes,
Yeah.
all the faces turned away, and all would sneer at my demise. He's saying like
Yeah.
nobody cares about me. I'm worthless because I don't believe in God. And
Yeah, I mean, like, so this is a death metal. This is an album with extreme vocals, but it's not entirely extreme vocals, as far as I can tell so far,
no,
anyway.
there's even songs on it that feature a lot of clean vocals.
Like,
Benighted is entirely
like
clean.
it.
Face of Melinda's half clean.
Hmm, all right. I
There's a
mean,
lot
like,
of clean on it.
I'm totally down for this already.
Definitely, like lyricism in this album is really
Yeah.
good. But
By the way, speaking
so,
of Notre
I'm
Dame,
sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, speaking of Notre Dame, fun fact, I've actually been there. I went to Notre
Really?
Dame in Paris a couple years ago, and it was about a year before like the
Oh,
big
sorry, just
fire
a sec.
happened.
Gonna point out, hear that instrumental in the background? That is the same melody from the dark jazz section in the intro. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just saying, like, I actually saw Notre Dame before the fire happened. I mean,
Yeah, I wish I
it
did.
doesn't necessarily make a difference because things have happened. Like, obviously, it's a nearly 1,000-year-old building. Obviously, it's not going to be, there are renovations that have been done over nearly 1,000 years. It's not all original, and
Yeah.
not to mention like all of the war, like not even just World War II, but like the Crusades, I believe, right? That happened in France, I believe.
It happened a lot of places.
Yeah. Well, there was like a lot of like, I mean, like France has been through a lot of wars, and Notre Dame has stood through all of that, and it will probably continue to stand until we all vaporize.
Yeah, so just to continue on with the story real quick. So he's been banished, beaten, and exiled from the village.
Yeah,
In this song, it kind of details his return to the village
yeah,
15 years after he was banished, and he's returned to find Melinda, who was his lover when he left.
yeah,
He's returned for her. And that's basically the setup of the album. He's come back to the village in secret to try and find Melinda and bring her away. Um yeah, so
this all sounds very Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like you could
I
argue
can see that comparison, yeah.
like the atheist is sort of like the freak, like the hunchback, and Melinda's, Esmeralda, the outcast, the gypsy.
See, this is what I love about Opeth. It like takes really heavy, brutal headbanging sections and spices it up with just absolutely beautiful sections like this. This is just so
Yeah,
beautiful.
this is so. Can I call this album already 10 out of 10?
I hope so. I honestly hope you really like this album.
I Well, I don't know. See, like objectively, this is already, I can tell, a 10 out of 10. Now I'm
Yeah,
trying
but
to
like
figure out, like,
personally.
am I going to listen to this again? That's what I'm still trying to debate in my head. And admittedly, we're still only on the first fucking song, so.
Isn't that such an insane thing though? We're already nearly 10 minutes into the album and it feels like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, like at least to me, it doesn't feel like an 11-minute 20-second song.
Yeah.
It is, but it doesn't feel that way because it's so diverse.
Yeah, this is such a journey.
Every song on the album is like that. Every single one, except for maybe Benighted, because that's like a folk ballad type thing. Every Opeth album has one like it. But I think
Yeah.
like the ballad on this album, I don't normally like ballads, but because this is already such a diverse band and
I mean,
every song basically has these
folk
soft
ballad doesn't
sections.
seem necessarily out of place. I mean, like you could even like
Exactly.
if this portion of the album was its own song, this would be like a folk ballad.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't feel out of
Not
place when it
this,
comes up.
but you know.
And now it gets heavy again after that really beautiful
God,
acoustic section.
I feel like this is just gonna be boring though. Say something funny.
Funny.
Now listen here, you little shit. Egg.
Egg. So another thing that I really love about this album is that you were talking about how like the story is very Hunchback of Notre Dame-esque. I think it's very Shakespearean. I don't want to spoil it, but it's very Shakespearean in the way it's told, and it is a tragedy.
So
things don't end all
okay,
happy.
So here's my prediction. Now that you've said that, my prediction is that everybody dies, nobody's the winner, and we all go home and get drunk off of mead.
I will neither affirm nor deny those claims.
Okay.
I'll admit, like the chorus in the More isn't like the strongest one on the album, but it's still just so pretty. I love it anyway.
We are on the second track. This is
Godhead's Lament. So this is probably maybe my first or second favorite song on the album. What it does is, I talked about this in my Opeth video, but I'll just summarize what I said about it here real quick. What it does is it builds up to the first chorus, right? And before it sings the first chorus, it plays the melody on like a solo type section with the guitar. And then it sings half of the chorus. And then it spends the other half of the song building up to it again. And at the very, very end of the song, it finally plays the entire chorus. So the chorus technically is only played once in this entire song. And as a result of that, it feels so satisfying when you finally hear it. It's like, brings me chills every fucking time.
So far, I would say I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm starting to formulate an opinion on this album already. And I would say, personally speaking, I'm somewhere in the middle of where you were and where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
I could not. I don't even know how you could reasonably hate this album. This is just objectively amazing.
I did say that, but I didn't like it. That was the thing.
Yeah, and like this is really, really good music. I don't know if I could see, I don't think I could see myself listening to this in my free time. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards like maybe an 8, unless this album drastically improves, which it could. And signs totally point towards that happening, but
yeah,
that's what I would say so far.
So I'll just very quickly run through what happens in the story of this song. So basically, this song, the atheist is back in town, and he is kind of like concealing his return. He's hiding. He doesn't want people to know he's back because they'll probably kill him if they find out. And he's seeking out Melinda.
And he is pissed off.
He's seeking out Melinda, and he finds out that Melinda has become a nun. And that's kind of what happens in this song. Oh, and Melinda figures out he's back at the end.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Atheist's back. Tell a friend.
Kill your friend.
I'll tell you, like, the vocals were the thing that really made this hard for me to get into. But trust me, it's an acquired taste and it grows on you. It really does.
Yeah,
Even by the end of this album, it might. By the way, pay attention to this solo. This is what I was talking about. It's playing the chorus melody.
Yeah. This is like really good. The guitar tone especially is, I would say, the highlight. The guitar tone and just the bass of it. Like, you know, when I usually think of death metal, I usually think of like extreme punk and like really dark and dirty and dingy production.
And this album is not like that at all.
Exactly. It's like the polar opposite of that. It's like if Dream Theater decided to go death metal and James LaBrie, you know, spat out half of his own weight.
I don't know. I think like the clean vocals in this album are better than James LaBrie's vocals, I think.
Yeah.
They're very like whispery. There's no like operatic aspect to it.
You know, I say that, but here's the thing. Like, I say that, but how would this sound without the absolute cacophony of overdub?
I'll tell you live, it sounds really good. I have listened to them live. Dude has a huge sense of humor. He does like, I saw in one show on YouTube, he did like song requests. People shouted out like, play Serenity Painted Death. And he played like one riff. And he was like, okay, I played it. He's got a huge sense of, he did the same thing with like classic rock songs once. He played Iron Man. And then
I think like,
by the way, I love this part of the song too. This part of the song especially sounds like very
this is probably my favorite part so far. This is like this whole like acoustic section is giving me kind of like Porcupine Tree references, or not Porcupine, what the hell? Porcupine Tree vibes.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. Not on this album, but on the next one that they did, Blackwater Park, which we will listen to for our top 100 list. Steven Wilson, the lead singer and guitar player of Porcupine Tree, actually wrote a lot of it. He sung on it. He did lead riffs. He produced it. A lot of contributions to that album.
That seems like a match made in heaven.
There's a reason a lot of people consider that album to be one of the best metal albums ever made. There really is, and you'll hear it, but I personally prefer this album. I think the story is more gripping. I personally like the sound of it more, the music, the melodies more. Blackwater Park is heavier. That's another issue that I love the heaviness, but I like it intermingled with the melodic, beautiful parts, and I think this album has more of those than Blackwater Park.
You know, the other thing too about the vocals is that you almost don't need them at all.
This could be an instrumental album.
This could be an instrumental, and you would probably get an idea, and you could probably like get an idea of what the plot is.
That's it. I do think the vocals add to the music. I do. And I think the music would be substantially worse without them. That's my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, well, like, here's the thing is, I think it's less likely for me to get into the album than you, because one, you're more into extreme vocals, and two, and I think more importantly, you're into prog music. I do not have the attention span for this kind of music. I can listen to it and appreciate what it is, and kind of, I guess I don't want to say novelty, but I can appreciate what they are trying to do. And I can accept that objectively this is really good music, but I do not have the attention span to listen to this kind of music on my own. I
don't think like an album like this really needs it though, because it's not like you have those extended wanky sections like Dream Theater or anything like that. Every part of the song is necessary, and there's so much variety that it doesn't really feel like you're listening to one long song, even though you are.
I guess
that's what kind of makes it for me. Like, I had the same problem with prog for a long time. This is the first band that I can say that I can just put on a song and I don't have to be in a particular mood. I don't have to like sit down and listen to it on its own. I can listen to this on my way to work or just walking or while I'm working, and it works out fine.
So like, okay, this is going to be a difficult question, but what would you say some of your favorite songs off of this album are? Just so I can kind of get an idea of like where the highest of the high points are.
This song and Serenity, Pain, and Death are my favorites, but I know a lot of people would say Face of Melinda is the best song. The More I really love also.
Yeah.
Benighted is the next song.
I think I kind of prefer The More over this so far, but this has parts that do eclipse that song.
Especially the ending.
It's kind of hard to, like you said, there's so much variety even in the songs themselves that it's hard to pick a favorite song. It's almost like you have to pick a favorite part of a song. Like, it's like, oh, my favorite part is The More, 4 minutes, 57 seconds in. Like kind of something like that.
This is my favorite part of this song, easily. Because it's so relieving to finally hear the whole chorus.
Yeah.
And of course, this outro.
The only thing I can say is that, like, so far there isn't really a lot to talk about with this album. I feel like I'm mostly going to be repeating myself over the next hour because
I don't know. I feel like there's plenty to talk about musically, but we haven't really been talking about the music too much.
Yeah.
We are now on Benighted, which is the ballad I was talking about earlier. By the way, this like intro riff that you're listening to, straight up ripped off from Camel. Like they completely ripped off a Camel song.
I love this already. So we are both listening to this with headphones.
Yeah.
Could you tell? And oh my God, this is some of the best stereo I think I've ever heard. And I was just going on about how much I love Dark Side of the Moon, which is often considered like the pinnacle of stereo effects. Like whenever people talk about good stereo separation or want to test some good speakers with stereo separation, Money by Pink Floyd almost every time.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Honestly, like this might be, I think if there was more to this song than just acoustic, and maybe there is, this would be my new go-to song for testing speakers. My first one was the song I always test speakers with, or like whenever I need to mess with an EQ, I always test End of the Beginning by Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that's a good album to use.
Yeah. This is very moody blues-ish, I think.
Mikael Åkerfeldt is very, very influenced by like 70s prog.
Yeah.
And in fact, after Ghost Reveries, like his latest albums, they have no harsh vocals. They're completely clean. Whoa. And they're much more like 70s prog albums.
I desperately want to hear that now.
Yeah, if you're going to listen to one of their more modern albums, I can't really help you because I haven't heard any of them.
Well, do you know like which ones the critics seem to like the most?
I know probably the recent one, In Cauda Venenum. Probably. A lot of people really love Heritage too. But yeah. I love this song, by the way. So story-wise, again, basically from my understanding, the atheist has written a letter to Melinda, and this entire song, he's trying to convince her to renounce her faith in the church and quit as a nun. He's saying, like, what came and distorted your sight, religion, saw you benighted by your fright. He's saying that religion convinced her to become a nun because she was afraid of the wrath of God and not because she actually believed it or should believe in it. And throughout the song, he says, like, come into this night when you're able to undo your deeds and atone with your lonely soul. He's saying, leave the village with me. Come with me, and we can leave together, and we can be in love.
Holy shit! Yes. Oh my god! Like this is is this a Strat?
Probably.
Is this a
yeah, this is a very
Stratocaster?
like bluesy solo.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yes. 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 This is my shit right here.
You'll hear something like this again later on the album, In Face of Melinda. About the first half of that song is very like this.
You know a song that this kind of reminds me of, that if you're not necessarily familiar with the band, you might think is kind of a weird comparison, but Talisman by the Guess Who. You might know, so Guess Who, they were famous for like American Woman, No Sugar Tonight, No Time, These Eyes, Undone. But they had this really cool psychedelic acoustic ballad on their American Woman album called Talisman, and it's always been a highlight of that album for me. That album is just absolute sex, but
I've actually never heard that album. I've obviously heard American Woman. American Woman, there with
check it out. You know what?
I've never heard the whole album though.
I'll have to maybe cover that on Audioholics Unite at some point, but
I'm down.
I don't know, maybe you couldn't even just listen to it on your own. But it's a really good, almost like, I want to say
all right,
prog
so
pop,
we are now on Moonlapse Vertigo, which is probably my personal least favorite song on the album. It's not bad. It's just the one that I find least memorable.
I like the riff so far.
This is, again, I'm going to keep referencing it because I talked about this in my Opeth video, but this riff specifically, like, makes me picture a dark, stormy castle and, like, somebody hiding out in that castle, which, by the way, is exactly what this song is about. And that blew my mind when that first happened to me because, like, I hadn't read what the song was about. I didn't know that's what it was about, yet the music alone painted that picture for me. That's insanely, like, that blew my mind.
So I did check, and apparently Bitchfork hasn't reviewed this album.
Is it an F?
That's sad.
All right, let's see what they say about it.
Huh?
Let's see what they say about it.
No, I said they didn't review it, as far as I've seen.
I thought you said they did.
Yeah.
Well, they reviewed Blackwater Park, and they gave it a 9 out of 10.
Fair enough.
But it was a reissue, so I wonder what they gave the original album.
Oh, that's true.
Let's look at their review of one of their older albums.
We need, like, more... like, Pitchfork can't be alone in a vacuum. There has to be more pretentious, overly pretentious journalistic reviews websites out there.
Probably.
Because I want to keep this segment going, but a lot of the albums we're listening to, Pitchfork just hasn't covered them.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, God. Is this... You know what? This is, like, almost an instrumental at this point, and I kind of love... Oh, no. Oh, okay. I like the book. Yeah, it's definitely improving. Still don't know if I'm comfortable listening to this on its own. Again, it's not even necessarily the vocals. The vocals don't really get in the way all that much, and even if they did, especially the action. Funny enough, the whole death metal aspect of this album is very intermittent.
Yeah.
That being said, it's just my issues with prog. That's just me personally. And I love things like Pink Floyd. I love things like Pink Floyd. And but like, I don't know, the thing about Pink Floyd and the reason it worked so well is because it was short and it was concise, and it didn't really, honestly, the reason Pink Floyd was so good was because it was so minimalist. It really doesn't say a whole lot, but it says it so powerfully.
Okay, but you like Aqualung and Thick as a Brick, and both of those albums are longer than this one.
Fair enough.
I think, like, ultimately what it comes down to is you might just have to listen to this more than once.
I might have to, yes.
Because you know what?
Whenever we do get to that Death album on Rolling Drones, which is, if he hasn't mentioned this already, this is kind of prep for me, I guess, to do that, because I'm going to be listening to the album after this, Blackwater Park. And whenever that comes up on the list, I will listen to this again. But okay. I don't know.
I suggest when you do that, read lyrics.
Okay.
You're not really getting that experience this time because, like, ultimately what it comes down to is, like, for you, it's harder for you to read lyrics live.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could read it on my iPad, but like, I'm focused on listening to the music and looking at you and looking at the camera and being funny and entertaining.
Oh, you're funny looking.
Oh, just wait till tomorrow when I get my haircut.
Yeah, this song, I love it. It's great, but it's just not as memorable to the other ones as me. Like, The More has that amazing intro, opening riff. It has that amazing, like, beautiful chorus. Godhead's Lament, again, has the chorus. It has the, what would they care if I did stay part. Benighted. Face of Melinda is just a journey. Serenity Painted Death is just a headbanger. This song is just, it's kind of in the middle of all those things. There's nothing bad about it. I just don't think it's as memorable. That said, like, a testament to this album, some people, this is their top song. There's no song on this album that people dislike. There's no song on this album that's bad or even subpar.
I would agree with that.
Every song is great. By the way, we're almost done with it already. There's only 3 songs left. That's, again, like, one of the things I keep saying about this album is, like, it is an hour long, but it doesn't feel like an hour-long album. It's over so fast. Oh, by the way, just in case you were curious about the story of this song, again, he's hiding out in the castle, like I said at the start, and he's going through internal conflicts.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right. We're like halfway done. Holy shit.
Yeah, we're almost done with it.
Wow. Yeah.
Over halfway.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the length won't be as off-putting as I thought. I mean, we still have like halfway to go, but still, I don't know. I could do another half of this.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel as long as it is.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So what's the story again?
Basically, the song is just he's hiding from the Council of the Cross, which is like the church. Yeah. And he's having internal conflicts. He doesn't know if he wants to stay in the village. He's thinking, maybe I should just leave, because if they find out I'm here, they're going to kill me.
You know what? I should love this, because, like, if you really think about it, like, at least what you're describing, like, this story isn't, like, super deep either. It's not like it's not Metropolis Part 2 levels.
My God, that album's insane. Yeah, that's something I was, sorry to interrupt what you're saying. That's something I was saying about this album in our tier list video, the bracket fight. The thing about this album that makes it better as a concept album than Metropolis Part 2 is Metropolis Part 2 was so focused on the music that the convoluted story they made had 300 holes and it didn't make sense wholly. And this is just a very simple story. and it pairs perfectly with the
Yeah.
music. Despite that, it does have depth.
Yeah. I would say that I'm very conflicted about this album because I would like, now that I'm like listing all the reasons why I love Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, I should love this album because it does all the same things.
Yeah,
it's
just as well, I think.
It has an insane amount of variety, and it doesn't say a lot, but it says it with so much power that it sounds like it's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Like, the story isn't all that deep. It's a pretty, basic story.
It does take a turn.
Yeah, so far anyway. But I mean, like, also, I guess it's not batshit insane like SF Sorrow, so there's something.
Yeah. So this is Face of Melinda. This is a lot of people's favorite song. A lot of people, this is their favorite Opeth song. For good reason. It's really good.
Again, I cannot get over how much I love the production on this. Who the fuck who was twiddling the knobs on this album? I want to shake his hand.
I don't know. It wasn't Steven Wilson.
Huh?
It wasn't Steven Wilson. I know that.
I'm looking it up.
So am I.
Oh. Okay.
Well, according to Wikipedia, it was the main man himself, Mikael Åkerfeldt.
Ah, wow. He's my new idol.
And a guy named Fredrik Nordstrom. That's the other guy who did it.
Wow. Oh my God, yes. Cheesy said, I could marry this song. Well, I mean, it's buried deep in the mix, but you know what I mean.
That's a thing with like later Opeth that's more like 70s prog. They use a lot more of like that Mellotron synth thing that the 70s
prog Mellotron, that's what I meant to say.
Okay, so this is probably a good time to tell you the story of this song. Yeah. So in this song, our main character finally meets up with Melinda, and the whole song is basically him trying to convince her to leave with him. She's a nun now. She's married to the church. She can't just leave. But he's saying, yes, you can. You can just leave with me. If we love each other, fuck the church. And this entire song is just describing how beautiful Melinda is and their love for each other and trying to convince her to leave with him. And the song does end with her agreeing, like, yes, I'm married to the church, but my love for you is not faltered. So she's saying she will leave with him. Yep, that's basically the story of the song. It's not complicated, but it is still very pretty.
The soft vocals are, well, all the vocals are really impressive. Like, I'm not taking anything away from death metal vocals. I could not do that.
And his growls in particular, like I've always said, they're like the black coffee, like the rich, expensive black coffee that you can get.
Exactly.
It's bitter.
I could never do that in a million years. But
yeah,
like the soft vocals, I can appreciate personally more because it sounds almost like typo negative, like
a bit, yeah. A bit, yeah. This song does ramp up, by the way. It doesn't stay like this the whole time, which is why I said like half of it kind of sounds like Benighted.
Yeah. I'm interested in hearing what it builds up to.
So some of the lyrics here: and conceited pain and crumbling mirth, a harlot of God upon the earth, found where she sacrificed her ways, that hollow love in her face. God damn, that's fucking good lyricism.
You know what? I'm calling it best song on the album, this one.
Like, that's just poetry. A harlot of God upon the earth. It's a nun. That's what he means.
I mean, I guess it's totally possible that something on this album could be better, but
I doubt it. Both of the songs following this are very, very heavy, so I doubt you'll like them as much. Personally, I love them, but yeah.
Yeah, this is my favorite song, though.
Still, I plotted to have her back, the contentment that would fill the crack.
And
my
it has
soul
like
this
really
sigh,
cool
the day fell, the
kind
darkness
of like,
nigh.
It has like this really cool kind of jazz lounge sound to it. I totally see what you mean with like the whole jazz aspect.
Yeah, there's a lot of jazz influence here.
like I feel like I'm in like you were talking about how this makes me feel. Right now, this makes me feel like I'm in a smoky lounge bar. Like like some dude, you know, with a barely working microphone, strumming away. I don't know, probably Wonderwall or some shit like that. Or Time of Your Life or something else pretentious and white, but
so we got the electric guitar in now.
I love this riff too. Yeah,
it's really good.
I can definitely say this. If I do not listen to this album again, or if I do not in my free time listen to this album again, I will for sure listen to this song. I will listen to it on repeat.
Well, that alone makes me happy. I was hoping you got at least some appreciation out of it.
Oh, I mean, like, like
not just on an objective level, but
yeah,
like
I was gonna say, like,
even
from the beginning note, I got appreciation on an objective level.
Yeah, but on a personal level, I mean.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's that basic human instinct. I found something new that I love, and I want to share that with people.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. It's like that game, Killer Instinct, where you have an instinct.
An instinct to kill.
Or, you know, play some good music. You know, one of the two.
So this is the last part of the song. Here are the lyrics. Endlessly gazing in nocturnal prime, she spoke of her vices and broke the rhyme. She baffled herself with the final line. My promise is made, but my heart is thine. So that's the part where she says, my promise to be a nun. Yes, I married the church in that way, but I still love you. And so I'll leave with you. I will leave the village with you. That's such a like poetic way to say that. Yeah. I just love it. I love it so much. And this is what I mean. It's very Shakespearean. It's written like Shakespeare would write a play, you know? Oh, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? You know?
Yeah, it makes me sad to think that these guys are probably going to die by the
end. Yeah, this is a very, I mean, you'll learn in the next song what happens.
I think I already know what happens. The fact that I'm saying that and the fact that you aren't necessarily denying it.
I mean, it's a death metal album in the end of the day, and I've already told you it's a Shakespearean tragedy tale, so
I don't think you're necessarily
you should know where it's going.
Yeah.
I'm not, but you should know where it's going. I love how this riff, again, it's like painting in your mind. It says, to me, it says, you know, there's a relationship, it's beautiful, there's love, but there's struggles. You know, there's two people who love each other, but there's something keeping them apart.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if it's not on this grand of a scale, everybody understands that.
Yeah.
Everybody has gone through a relationship that's had rocky roads, you know?
All right, so the next song. We are now on... Wait, it's fading out. The song's fading out.
Serenity Painted Death.
All right, so, okay. I guess, should I just tell you what the song's about? So I'll walk you along the story as the song goes on. Melinda has been kidnapped and murdered in her sleep.
At what point did that happen between...
So in the last song, they met, they agreed to leave the next day, and they went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Melinda was kidnapped and murdered. So this part of the song, returned from a hibernal dream, voices fell like marble, no longer by my side, gone all that would linger. She's passed away.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about that twist. Because, like, see, the thing with Shakespeare is, like, it builds up to a climax like that.
It did, though, because, so the reason why she's murdered is because she agreed to leave with him. It turns out the Council of the Cross did know he was back, like he feared, and by agreeing to leave with him, she betrayed the church, and she was killed for that reason. Yeah, it takes a turn. And I love how, like, this part of the song, you can just feel sadness in the music, and the way that he's singing the vocals, you can hear pure agony from the loss of a loved one. And now, of course, this is my favorite riff on the album right here.
Oh, fuck me sideways. I agree.
Just wait, it gets better.
Oh, wow.
I love it. And now it's just, instead of sadness, you start to feel
all that I see, absolute horror. Yes.
Yes. Red line around her neck met the earth in silence. She was hung. That's how she was killed. So
she was hung, and so am I.
I like how the song starts with that feeling of like sadness and agony, and it transforms into that really heavy section, and all you feel is pure fucking anger. Yes. Because that's exactly what the protagonist is feeling. And again, the chorus. I love this shit. White-faced, haggard grin in this serenity painted death with a halo of bitter disease, black paragon on lingering breath. That's awesome. That's just badass.
And this is
the heaviest song on the album.
You know what? These are like death metal vocals, but comprehensible.
Yeah, that's what I love about Mikkel Ackerfeldt's vocals. I guess I didn't get to point it out in the first verse once it got heavy, but I love how he enunciates things. Ripped from my embrace. Melinda reflected in shafts. Red line around her neck.
Yeah, I think that's where I got Disturbed from.
I love it.
Like, this all just feels like Disturbed. I'm sorry to piss off people. I mean that in the best way possible.
So, yeah, at this point, he's just filled with rage that people killed Melinda. And his life takes a dark turn.
You know what? I bet you could get like the bridge of Down with the Sickness and sync it up with this. Like,
and it'd probably work.
Yeah, it would probably work. You know that part better than I do. You like destroyed that shit on karaoke the one time.
I love this part of the song. This, like, again, we're back to like that sadness that he's feeling, but you can hear it intermingled with the rage. It's just such a complex song emotionally. It perfectly captures what's going on in the story.
Would you say that that's what I love about it? So many levels?
So many levels. So, what do you think the protagonist does now that he's found out that people murdered the love of his life that he came back for after 15 years?
Okay, so I am going to say, knowing Shakespeare, he's going to kill himself.
In a way.
I think he's either going to kill himself or he's either going to kill himself intentionally or kill himself trying to kill the church. Or like trying to destroy the church.
Yeah, so at this point in the song, well, not quite yet. I should wait. I'll tell you what's going on when it happens. Because I don't want to spoil it before it happens in the song, because then I'll like take away from the impact.
I wish I had better headphones. I wish I had like studio monitor headphones for this shit. They deserve
it. Would be, yeah, it's really good.
Oh, wow. Okay, I could have done without that, but still. I could have done without the cheesy sci-fi synth.
Wow.
I could have done without the cheesy sci-fi synth, but, you know. Other than that,
okay, so here's the lyrics. Darkness reared its head, tearing within the reeling haze, took control, claiming my flesh, piercing rage, perfect tantrum, each and every one would die at my hand, choking in warm ponds of blood. At last weak and torn I went down, drained from strength, flickering breath. So what do you think he did from those lyrics? Each and every one.
Well, it seems like he's taking revenge.
Exactly. In this point in the album, he just straight up massacres every single motherfucker who had anything to do with Melinda's death. Yeah. He goes on a murderous rampage. Basically, like, her death drives him insane, and he just kills everyone who had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is still very Shakespearean, but I'd say the biggest influence that I can hear is still Victor Hugo.
I can see that. I like the twist that he takes with it. Like, you would think they would just both kill themselves, but instead she's murdered by the church for betraying her promise as a nun, and then he goes ahead and tries to murder a bunch of them for that. I mean, I guess you probably know what's happening to him now. You think he's walking away after murdering a bunch of people? Nah.
Oh, that's true. I think he's, I think every album needs some good full-blown nun-aside.
I love this part of the song. Wayward in conscious state,
killing nuns, nunny nuns,
nun death,
nunny nun. You've entered the twilight zone.
So, at this point in the song, he's collapsed after murdering a bunch of people, and the Council of the Cross are here to take him into custody. And so the song ends with that.
And I guess the last song is like epilogue?
Pretty much.
Epilogue.
I love how it ends with this.
Everyone died, the end.
I love how it ends with the chorus again. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, so White Cluster. This is the last song on the album, and basically it's about him being executed. So the Council of the Cross take him into custody. And,
it hasn't gotten to that part yet for me.
No, we're still fading out in Serenity Painted Death. Oh, something to point out with the end of Serenity Painted Death. I'll let it go for a little bit anymore. You're going to notice something a little weird with the ending.
Cool bluesy guitar.
Yeah. Nice acoustic guitar. And you could say that about every single part of this album. So many good acoustic parts.
All right, fine. I admit it. I would listen to this in my free time.
Yes, I've turned him.
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay, now wait.
Maybe. On the edge.
Listen to how this song ends.
Oh. It just like
just abrupt. You want to know why he did that?
Out breathe candle.
So there was actually a story reason why he did that. He did that because every other song on the album, even the last one, basically fades out. He made that one specifically end abruptly because the song is about loss of life.
Yeah.
Life just ends abruptly. He did that on purpose.
So
That's
deep,
fucking
man.
genius.
That's so fucking deep.
It's not even like that it's deep. It's just genius.
Yeah.
Mikkel Ackerfeld, I want to suck your dick for that. Oh, and the other reason he cited for doing that is because he felt like too many songs faded out, so he wanted one to end abruptly, and that was just a good reason.
I want to suck the producer's dick, honestly.
Same. Yeah, okay, so now we're officially on White Cluster, and this is the weirdest song on the album, by far. There's, like, sections of, like, silence and ambience in this song. It starts really heavy, but it goes into, like, different sections. You'll see. But yeah, like I said before, this song is literally just about him being executed. So he's in prison, then they take him to the hangman's noose, and he's hung. And at the very end of the song, Melinda is there to greet him in the afterlife, and that's how the album ends.
This is my second favorite riff on the album.
It's a great riff. There's another one later in this song that I really love, underneath a solo. So yeah, that's basically the story of the album. To summarize, we have this atheist who is brutally banished. He returns after 15 years to find his love, Melinda. He finds her, meets her. They plan to leave together the next day, but she is tragically murdered before they can leave together. And driven insane by her death, he goes on a murderous rampage, which results in him being taken and executed. It's a Shakespearean tale told from a death metal perspective. That's the best way to describe it.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait for the end of the song to rate it. I still don't have a full rating in my head yet.
I mean, do I even need to say this is what my rating is? You guys would all know if you listen to any part of me rambling during this podcast.
You hated it, right?
This is 0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
It's the worst album we've covered.
0 out of 10. There's no speak and spell.
The Shags is better than this album.
Yeah, it's interesting.
During the Shags episode, Mikkel Okerfeld came in and said, I like the Shags more than my own band.
Yeah. He said that. Better produced even.
He joined the call and everything. I don't know how he found out about us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was just a big fan. He and, his he got like the producer bat signal. Like, someone's talking shit about the Shags. I got to put an end to this.
God. Yeah, see what I mean, though? This is such a weird song for the album. Not that it's out of place. It's just unique.
Yeah.
I like how it says, like, they wear white for me, seemingly jaded and lost. I forged myself into your dreams, and here I am, your life. So the Council of the Cross is the KKK? As they wear white?
Well, yeah.
And if you look, there's actually a picture that correlates with this song.
White is symbolic in this case.
There's like a bunch of white wearing people.
Yeah, I see. I see.
Dude, I fucking love the album art. For those of you who haven't seen the album art, look at that magnificence.
Yes, I agree.
It's so
god damn.
It perfectly, like, just by looking at it, you feel the atmosphere of the album.
Fuck yes.
Also, Opeth's logo, best band logo of all time, calling it here. Look at that. Oh, it's so intricate and like, oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is.
It's so beautiful. Like, oh my god.
I would legitimately get a tattoo of this logo.
Yes.
It's just so pretty.
Oh man, that would be sick. Yeah, do that.
Just of the O. Get rid of the Peth. Just the O.
I think I still want to get my first tattoo. I want to get a tattoo of Typo Negative.
I still want to get, like, I think my first, well, it's not my first tattoo, but the next tattoo I get is going to be the Haken virus symbol.
Okay. The cockroach?
No, it's like a bacteriophage from their newest album. See, this is what I mean. Like, there's this large section in the song that's kind of quiet and it's ambient. We're just shutting up to, like, listen to the ambience for those of you who aren't listening along for whatever reason. And then it comes back. We're getting to that part I was talking about that had a badass riff.
Yeah.
Just wait for it. It's not quite here yet.
We should just stop talking for the rest of the episode.
Just let people appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that riff I was talking about because I always love that part of this song. Here it is. Like right underneath that solo.
Yeah, definitely some good shit, man. I think ultimately what I want to do, I want to create a counter protest to this band and call it Life.
And call it what?
Life.
Life.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, I wonder where the name Opeth came from.
I have no fucking clue.
The name was derived from the word opet, taken from the Wilbur Smith novel The Sunbird, which apparently Michael Ackerfeld thinks is a terrible novel.
Well, perfect.
It's translated roughly to City of the Moon. It's also funny that the album Blackwater Park is named after a prog rock band called Blackwater Park. And
I've never heard of them.
That's because, according to Mikkel Ackerfeld, they suck. Because like they don't make good music, but they had a cool name, so I stole it.
Yes, I love that. I should be like Logan Diener and the Shark Breakers. This is total original. Don't sue.
And he's so honest too. Like in one of his interviews, he just, you know how I found out that the Benighted intro was stolen from Camel? Because he just straight up says it is. He's playing it and he's like, oh yeah, I stole this from Camel, by the way. Not give a single fuck.
I love that. Like, I think he has this kind of same. Oh my god, I can foresee another rant coming on. He has the same kind of ideology that I have about plagiarism, in that I don't think it really exists, nor should it exist, nor should it be illegal.
I kind of agree.
Oh,
I think the only context in which plagiarism is not okay is in essay writing and comedy.
No.
I think, okay, so for essay writing, that's about like research and exchange of ideas and stuff.
Okay, yeah,
you should not be passing that stuff off as your own if it's not.
Yeah, okay, like, yeah, you shouldn't copy and paste the information. But like, the way that they do plagiarism is like, oh, if it sounds in any way similar to something you researched.
Like, yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But in terms of the comedy, by the way, the album is over now. And, well, there's still like a tiny little bit of ambience at the end. But so the album's over. And at the end, he sees Melinda in the afterlife, which kind of like, since he's an atheist, is there like some subtext on that at the ending? I don't know.
What is the afterlife?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I think it's funny that he's an atheist, but at the very end, before he dies, he sees Melinda from the afterlife, which is weird if you're an atheist. So I wonder if, like, that was on purpose. I don't know if Mikkel Ackerfeld is a Catholic or anything like that, but
I don't know.
It would make sense if he maybe included it for that reason. But
yeah,
either way, just an interesting ending.
So
maybe it's just symbolic. Maybe it doesn't mean anything at all. But anyway, go on to keep saying what you're saying.
I'll just finish my thought. Yeah, so I guess we, for the most part, agree about essays, and then like with comedy, I think that
Well, I don't think it should be like illegal to steal jokes, but you're not a good comedian if you steal jokes. Like Amy Schumer steals jokes, and people shit on her rightly for doing so.
I didn't know she did that, but
she does that a lot.
Yeah,
she'll completely like word for word copy jokes.
I think if you can take a joke and make it better,
or make it your own, fine. But no, she just word for word copies it.
Like I was thinking about like Jim Gaffigan. He you know who he is?
Yeah.
So Jim Gaffigan had a Netflix special, and he had this one bit. And he was like, at what point are you a captain? And at what point are you just some drunk guy with a boat? And I was thinking, like, that's George Carlin. George Carlin had that exact same bit. Like, who assigned you as captain? I think it was like, who assigned you to be captain? Well, Commander Carlin says, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the joke's different enough. I'm talking, like, word for word. Same punchline, same setup. Maybe she, like, switches out one word for another, but it's still the same joke.
I guess.
Like, that's the type of
you're
shit that
right.
I think, again, it shouldn't be illegal. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be banned, but
I don't know.
people
I
have
think
every right
that,
to look down on you.
I guess word for word plagiarism, I would say. I think I agree with you that it shouldn't be illegal because, like, I don't necessarily know how I feel about intellectual property rights as a whole. But
Yeah.
you're right that, like, word, like, direct plagiarism, I think is a bad thing. But I think we've gone too far in saying, like, oh, if it sounds similar, then it's plagiarism. That's like the thing that's the thing I hate about music, especially, is like, so many, like, oh, this band sounds like Led Zeppelin, this band sounds like Black Sabbath, plagiarism. Like, no, they're just influenced and taking a formula, running with it, and maybe making it better, maybe making it worse, but judge it on those terms, not as a ripoff.
Yeah. By the way,
so
ratings.
Yeah, I was about to get to that. I'm gonna say, tentatively speaking, an 8. I'm just debating between, like, an 8.5 and a 9, so I'm gonna meet somewhere in the middle at an 8.7. This is where I see it at. I love this album. I love it technically. I love the mix. I love the production. I love the instrumentation. I love the technical aspects of it. I love the songwriting. I love the lyricism. I love the structure. All of that I love objectively. Whether I listen to it on its own or not, I think is still very much up in the air. I could grow to worship this album the same way that you do. I don't know if I do or not, but I can at least say that I appreciate it objectively and I appreciate aspects of it personally.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I don't know if I was ever expecting you to, like, love this album as much as I do, but I felt that if you even liked it at least a little bit personally, it was worth doing. In my opinion, 10 out of 10 album. I still don't know if I want to call it and say it's my new favorite album of all time, because In the Court of the Crimson King took that spot and it's had it for a while, and I'm not sure I'm ready to say this album is better than that album, but it's definitely,
I would say, as somebody who's kind of lukewarm to In the Court of the Crimson King, I can definitely say it's better.
Yeah, but I love that album. Like, Epitaph is one of my favorite songs ever. Mood and Madness, like, I just love that album. It's so good. But
I don't know. I think
or Moon Madness. No, that's a Camel thing. You know the song
Moonchild.
I meant, though, Moonchild. Yeah.
No, I would say,
because we were talking about Camel. Yeah. I had Camel on
I would
brain.
say, like, I don't know. I think, like, just about every single Pink Floyd album does what that album does better.
I don't know. I would disagree, but we don't need to debate that on the podcast. So, guys, did you enjoy Opeth? Did you hate Opeth like I did on my first listen? Please tell us in the comments section. If you have any suggestions for a potential album we could do on Audioholics Unite, we would love to hear it. And unless you have anything to add, we can wrap this up.
If you spam Kill Tyler in the comments, you will win a cookie.
Alrighty. So without further ado, we bid you audio-do.
Adios.
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 Bye, guys.